Okay, so I get this question a lot, and at first I didn't know if people were trolling me or if it was a legitimate question. It's kind of a heavy question, right? When somebody reaches out to you and asks you if they should quit cooking or quit trying to learn how to cook, or what are the signs they should be looking for, or more specifically, when should they give up on learning how to cook? I actually did a poll last year where I asked you guys to help me answer this question. In your opinion, when should someone stop learning how to cook, or when should they give up on cooking? And a lot of you had great suggestions. But since that poll, I've actually been getting this question quite a lot. A viewer reached out to me, and I'm not going to name any names, but I did confirm that it's okay if I shared his story with everyone here. This person went through a bad divorce. His kids are around 10 years old, and he's not in the best health. And at some point, he kind of realized that he needed to take care of himself a little bit better and stop eating out so much. And he decided to learn how to cook. But it was a lot harder for him to really get the fundamentals down, and he was feeling helpless, and then ended up going back to fast food, and he felt ashamed of himself. I've had more people reach out to me with similar stories asking me the same question. Should they give up on learning how to cook, or when should they know when to give up? And it's people of all ages with different health conditions. So I figured out real quick that this was a legitimate question, and that really inspired me to make this video. So to answer this question of when should you give up on learning how to cook at home, or what signs should you look for that it's just not working out for you? See, I'm very stubborn, and if I'm learning something and I'm having a hard time learning it, or I'm being frustrated with something, I typically, whether it's healthy or not, I kind of get tunnel vision, and then I get obsessed with that, and I have to learn it. I have to finish it. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I think it's also very unhealthy that I just can't step away from something and I get that tunnel vision. I get obsessed. But I wanted to start off the video by saying there's a few things that I thought of right off the bat that you should definitely stop and reconsider, at least for a moment, pause learning how to cook at home or learning how to cook in general. And that is number one, if your health or safety is at concern or in jeopardy, stop. If you're losing weight, if you feel weak, if you're not getting the nutrition that you need because you're ashamed to eat out and you're trying to learn at home and you're not making good food or edible food or whatever, do not jeopardize your health. And there's no shame in pausing or even stopping completely. The next reason that I can think of is it's truly making you unhappy. It's affecting your mental health. So if you're having a hard time learning how to cook, it's stressing you out, it's frustrating you. Again, there's someone who reached out to me, she was really stressing out over it. For example, this person, her sister was able to make the same meal indirectly. They weren't competing or anything, but was able to make the same meal for her when she went over to her house and made it look really easy, and that really affected her mentally. So if you're not having fun, it's affecting you mentally, pause. And then the last reason I can think of is if you're doing this professionally, someone reached out to me that was planning on being a chef, that was going through school and just told me that they were miserable. They didn't like it. They didn't find it interesting. I think that's kind of a little bit easier for me to answer. If you're looking to make a career out of cooking and it's not enjoyable, it's just like anything else, just like any other career. You know, it's not for you. It's okay to move on and find another career path. But I want to stick to the first two. The home cook that's trying to change their lifestyle, to eat out less, to be healthier, to change their habits. There's nothing wrong with eating out. Absolutely. But I'm trying to make people less dependent on fast food restaurants. So it all starts in the kitchen. And believe it or not, this is my kitchen. And I want to apologize ahead of time if the audio isn't that great. It's not soundproofed. I'm sure you guys are hearing a bad echo, but we'll make do. So set up your kitchen in a way that makes you successful. Have things organized. The things that you commonly need, have them readily available. And no, you do not need all this gear. You do not need all these pans or fancy accessories or even appliances to get you going. You can make do with what you already currently have. That's fine, learn on it. Or if you really want to make a simple upgrade, buy a cast iron skillet. I think that's a great way to go as a beginner. Cast iron skillets are cheap. They're going to last you forever. You can pass it down to your kids or your loved ones, and they're pretty forgiving. Now, do you need a couple of things to cook? Yes, of course. You should have a pan or skillet. You might need a pot. You might need some knives, or you might need a spatula or two. But you don't need to buy the most expensive gear. What's more important is learning how to use that gear. right? The basics to it. And keeping yourself organized so you don't get frustrated. In the kitchen, there's a lot of searing going on, there's a lot of preheating going on, temperature control going on, and that's what you primarily need to focus on. I think for a lot of people, they bite off more than they could chew in the beginning. For example, this is a common thing that I hear all the time, but they'll find a recipe that they're interested in cooking, and that recipe usually isn't very beginner friendly. And then they get frustrated when they can't do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're a beginner, you're learning. Take it slow. My advice to you is start off with what you already know how to do and add on to it. Try to learn it in a different way or try to add a variation to it. And then I would pick something entirely new that's relatively easy, or maybe it's a variation of what you already know how to do, and do that over and over until you've mastered it. Learn one specific thing that you're struggling to do. Maybe it's preheating your pan. Try preheating your pan. Use a timer, a thermal gun, maybe the water droplet test, the light and frost effect, whatever. Keep a log, figure out what you did wrong, and go at it again. We haven't even started cooking. We're just learning how to preheat your pan. Maybe you're having a hard time searing. Try searing one type of protein first, whether it's steak or chicken, whatever you prefer. But try to only sear that protein to begin with until you've mastered it. So you might be eating chicken for a while. That's okay. Once you learned how to sear the chicken, then move on to steak or so forth. And once you've mastered that, move on to fish, move on to lamb, whatever. Actually, I would say that preheating a pan and searing protein are the two most common questions that I get, besides seasoning a pan, but that's more for cast iron or carbon steel folks out there. But yeah, most people will ask me, hey, I can't get my pan preheated right, or usually correlates with searing, I can't sear whatever it is that I'm trying to sear correctly. It always comes out steamed, and they get frustrated because it all kind of rolls downhill after that. So maybe you're really, really good at, I don't know, making spaghetti. Try a variation. Maybe try spaghetti and meatballs. And if you've already done meatballs, then maybe you've traditionally made beef meatballs. Now try lamb meatballs. Maybe try breading them. Or let's say you've never really done your own sauce before. Maybe you've always done a variation or added on to a canned sauce or a bottled sauce or whatever, a jar. Try adding your own sauce in. Or maybe try a spaghetti recipe that's from a different region. Do you see what I'm saying here? It's building blocks. You can't expect to be a chef overnight. No one becomes a chef overnight. Cooking is not easy. It's actually kind of hard to learn. But once you get the hang of it, it's a beautiful thing. Another thing you can do is utilize the grill. If you're a grill master and you're really comfortable cooking outside on a barbecue grill, but you're not too good at cooking indoors using pots and pans, that's okay. Try to transition slowly. You can use the grill to your advantage. Use what you already know and just try to take those baby steps to transition indoors. And likewise, you don't have to cook every single day at home. Try to set a reasonable goal for yourself. If you're eating out every single day, try to eat at home once a week or maybe twice a week. If your end goal is to never eat out again, I don't think that's practical. There's nothing wrong with eating outside, eating fast food, or enjoying a nice restaurant. It's all about a healthy lifestyle and your decisions, your day-to-day decisions that will get you to your goal. Now, for people out there that are trying to find recipes that are geared towards beginners, I made a video all about cookbooks that I highly recommend. Most of those cookbooks were fantastic, they were very detailed, and they really gave you step-by-step instructions with reasonable expectations, and the recipes were delicious. I also had a couple of cookbooks that were grilling cookbooks. So if you're a griller and you want to make that transition, those cookbooks are great if you buy them alongside the typical, inside your kitchen pots and pans. It's starting to rain out here, so I got to get back inside. And I get it, there's so many cooking shows out there. There's so many YouTube cooking channels. They all make it look like it's easy or there's something wrong with you if you don't understand how to preheat your pan properly or whatever. And it shouldn't be the case. I don't want anybody to feel that way about my channel. So I wanted to kind of address this thing. And you are welcome to reach out to me to my Instagram or Facebook. Continue reaching out to me. Send me your pictures, your videos, and I promise you I will do my best to try to answer your questions and help as much as possible. But hang in there. It will get better, I promise.